Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm excited to present another great high-level feature. Today we're going to be talking about the phone system. Now, before we get started, if you could please click on the subscribe button if you have not already. I always appreciate your support. And if you do like this video at the end, please watch the whole thing. If you do like it and find it informational, please click the like, hit the little bell icon so that you get notified whenever I publish. I do try to do it a couple times a week to give you guys some great information. So thank you very much, and let's get to it. Okay, so here we are inside of Highlevel. Now, one of the great things I think separates Highlevel software platform from other platforms is that the phone system is actually integrated directly into the platform. Now, this makes it very good if you're dealing with sales, phone calls, be able to track how many people call in on your numbers, secondary numbers. If you ever wanted to do marketing campaigns where you wanted to use just a specific number for certain campaigns to track how successful they are, this is just a really great feature. A lot of other components, a lot of other software platforms that I looked at, they just don't have a phone system included, which means now you've got to have their software and you've got to have another voice over IP system. And those two systems really don't talk to each other. So anyway, let's move forward with this and kind of go over how Highlevel has set up their phone system, what you will have to do as a marketing agency to help your clients get their phone system set up, and just kind of go over the settings and the features here so that once you can get the phone number set up pretty quickly inside of Highlevel, and then you'll have an up and going functional phone system. So here, all the stuff behind the scenes in the phone system really takes place in the settings area. So I'm inside of a demo sub account, and we're going to go to the settings area, and then we're going to go into the phone numbers area. Now, this is kind of where all the main magic and settings happen regarding your phone systems. There are a couple of other places that I will show you that you need to go set things up for. I'll get to it, but there's a couple of other areas that you need to go to finish up things for the phone system. But here's where you pretty much set up everything primarily. Now, by default, the LeadConnector phone system is what Highlevel uses for all of their phone systems. Now, Twilio is the back end for this. So the LC phone system really is just a way to simplify the whole Twilio process. If you ever dealt with Twilio directly with phone numbers and getting phone numbers, it can kind of be confusing. So Highlevel really just kind of took that complication out of the mix, and they just created a connection in between Twilio and its clients to provide a much easier interface. So when you talk about Highlevel and the phone system, you will be dealing with the LC phone system or LeadConnector phone system. So that's what it means. Now, here we'll see the SMS providers are just going to be LeadConnector. That's the only option that you get here. Phone numbers. This is where you can add as many phone numbers as you like to your account. Now, I already have one here. This is just a demo account that I was testing. But if you want to add more numbers, you would just simply click on the add number. You would come over here and type in just an area code that you want to pull up a number for. Nothing found for that one here. Let's just try this one. So if you put in an area code, it will say, okay, here's the available numbers that we have in those in that particular area code. Notice that the monthly fee is $1.15. That's just a flat fee for every number that you have, which is fairly reasonable. So you can pick whatever number you want. You can simply click this one, click save, and then I'm not going to do it on this one, but you can add additional phone number into your account. Now, why would you need more than one phone number? Well, we're going to get into that, but primarily if you run a sales team, if you book appointments, things like that, you probably don't want to have everybody calling the main business line. For this one, typically the main phone number goes to the main business line. So if you don't want to utilize that number for all of your bookings, then you might want to install a secondary number that you have appointments being, if you're booking appointments that they can call back to without taking up all the space on the main phone line. So also if you do marketing campaigns, or if you have special offers, or if you have anything like that, promotions that you're trying to promote, you might want to give a different phone number for that, because that promotion is only going to be maybe for a week, a month maybe. or something like that. And afterwards, you don't want to keep that phone number. So you're going to only have a phone number during the period you're running the promotion. And then after that, you're going to delete the phone number from your account. You won't be charged for it anymore. And then, you can just continue to move on. So here is where your phone number settings are. Now, before we go into the phone number settings themselves, I'm going to just finish up a few things about this screen. Because we're going to dive into some of the settings that we can use inside of this phone number here once we get it set up. Now, number pooling. If you've ever dealt with number pooling, it's really just a way to do tracking of the phone number. Now, here, in order to do a pool, obviously that really would entail having one or more phone numbers connected, but realistically it's two or more phone numbers, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to group a couple of different phone numbers, all that have the same purpose. So let's just say you have a sales booking team and you've got 6 phone numbers for all the people that book appointments. Well, you might want to pool all 6 of those phone numbers together so that you can have the same tracking and do the same statistics when it comes to the reporting on all 6 of those numbers at one time versus doing reporting on 6 individual numbers. So hopefully that makes sense. If you do click on add number, it kind of gives you an idea. Do we want to track visitor activity, meaning creating multiple numbers that correlate calls to website visitors, PPC keywords, and so forth? So that's one way. And then even tracking marketing campaigns. So that's kind of the options that they give you. But ultimately, that's what pooling is for, is just to group your phone numbers together that all have sort of a common purpose so that you can use them to enable tracking and reporting. Now, the next one down here is just verified caller IDs. This really is just kind of like how, if you click on this, you'll see that you will need to put in the phone number here that you will have on your account. And all it does is just simply goes through and calls the phone number and gives you a code. So right now I will just kind of show you here. If you do type in the phone number that's on this particular account, verify number, it just pops up with the code. That code, it's going to call you. I'm not going to pick that up right now, but it's going to call you. You're going to answer. It says, please enter the code. You're going to enter that code on the screen. It's going to go through, in a sense, verify that the number is working, that the connectivity is there. And then that will become a verified number that you can use when you do outbound caller IDs. And that comes back to some of the settings that we're going to talk about in just a minute regarding the phone system. Now, before we get into that, I want to just quickly go over some of the tabs up in here. Usage summary. This is just a great usage tab that just kind of goes over your phone numbers, your call logs, how much have you spent, how much did all this stuff cost you, so you can quickly look at that information. Regulatory bundles and addresses, this really doesn't apply if you're in the United States. And to be quite honestly, I have never used this because I've been living in the United States. So if you are outside of the United States or Canada, then you'll have to go through this regulatory process to configure your numbers. Sorry, I can't give you any more information on that. Toll-free numbers, if you do have a toll-free number, 888-800 number, you'll do have to register it here. Now, this is something that Highlevel has put into their phone system. It's more or less called a trust center. And what this is whenever you get phone numbers from Twilio or from the LC phone system, in this case, a lot of those numbers probably have been used in the past. And the problem is that if they've been used in the past and really used to spam the crap out of people, then they're going to be listed as a spam number. So when they start going through all the directories and you start using that phone number to call outbound, it's going to be flagged as a spam number. And of course, nobody's going to want to answer a spam call, which means that your call pickups are going to be much, much less because people are going to send them, even if they even get to the customer. Most people have spam protection on their phones already. So right now, how do you prevent your phone numbers that you get from Twilio from being flagged as spam? Well, you come through this process, you go through each one of these and you register them to basically just be a safe number. So it gets it removed from that spam list and it becomes more of a trusted phone number, which means that when people call, the phone number will not be flagged as spam and you'll ultimately end up getting more pickups. More people will answer that phone call because it won't say spam caller on it. So that's just kind of the Highlevel's phone settings in a nutshell. Now I want to kind of get into the nuts and bolts here. There's a lot to get configured actually at the phone number level. So I'm going to come over here and click on edit. Now, whenever you're figuring phone numbers here, you may very well have multiple phone lines. Well, it's a great idea to sit back and tag what the lines are for. Some main business line. saying something like call from main business line. So if I could spell, but if you have something like that in here, then what you're going to get is you're going to pick up the phone and the system is going to say in sort of a robotic voice, call from main business line. Press any key to pick up. And then you would press it and move on. If you don't want to pick it up, then you can just simply don't do anything. And we're going to talk about some of the timeout features and where the voicemail is going to go from there. So, but that's a nice feature to have if you wanted to kind of do an introduction to kind of let you know who's calling. Then you could decide whether or not you pick it up or not. That in turn can decide, use in conjunction with this pass caller ID number, where it passes the phone number through, may be a good combination. So it's up to you to decide how you want to have that happen. Now, if you want to do call recordings, you can. So if you want to sit back and make sure you record the phone call, this is great because, if you're asked the person, for instance, if you are passing the caller ID number through for the main business line, if you're sitting back and talking to somebody saying, oh, I'm sorry, your cell phone number didn't come through. Can you please tell me your number? And they tell you their phone number, well, you don't have to write it down right then because that recording will actually be made available in the conversations area inside of the CRM system for that person calling. So you can always go back and listen to it later. So that's a nice feature. So that's where all the call recordings go. It strictly goes in the conversation tab inside of the CRM system. So the next is going to be incoming call timeout, and I'm sure if I can blow this up here. So this right here, whenever you set this up, it's a great way if you're forwarding it. You can use this in a couple of different ways. Number one, if you don't really want this to ring at all, if you just wanted to go to voicemail, you can just kind of set the duration to 1. In 1 second, as soon as it rings, boop, it sends it directly to voicemail, and that's it. That's the setting that you could do. Now, imagine this. Imagine if you are sending it to your cell phone. Okay, so you're forwarding it to your cell phone, but you don't want the voicemails that somebody leaves to be left on your cell phone. Okay, so typically most cell phone might ring as much as 10 or more seconds before you actually reach your voicemail settings and somebody could leave a voicemail on your personal cell phone. Well, in this case, what if you set this to something like 6, or let's just say 5 seconds? So after 5 seconds, it'll forward it to your cell phone number, and if you don't pick up within 5 seconds, then the LC phone number drops that forward message and sends it directly to the voicemail inside of Highlevel. And I'll show you where that all the voicemail settings are going to be maintained inside the conversations area for that particular contact, but you also do have the option of leaving a voicemail recording on Highlevel. So when somebody leaves a message, you can have a pre-recorded MP3 play as the voicemail message, but that way the voicemail messages are left on the LC phone system itself and not left on your phone. See, that's the problem that a lot of people have. If you forward it to your phone, some voicemails get left on your phone, and then whatever cell phone you have, that's the only recording of that voicemail that you have, because it never left a voicemail on the LC phone system, because there's no way, if you look at it, there's no way to keep track of it. The voicemail is on your phone, not on the phone system. So this is the timeout setting that you have to adjust here to say, if you don't pick up after 5 seconds on your mobile device, then cut it off and we want the voicemail to be left on the LC phone system. So anybody on the team can potentially access that and reply back to it. So hopefully that works. Now, for outbound calls, if the system does make outbound calls, and there's some other cool features that you can do, and we won't go over that in this video, regarding workflows where you can have the system manually dial and call and connect to people. Well, how long do you want to let that outbound phone call ring before you drop it and move on to the next person? So, this could be 30 seconds, for instance. You might want to let it ring for 30 seconds, and if nobody picks up or nothing like that happens, then the LC phone system will just drop the phone call, and then it'll dial the next person. So these are the settings that you have inside of Highlevel to get connected on the phone system. So there's a couple of other things I wanted to show you regarding the LC phone system, but for the most part, when you get a phone number set up, you're going to edit the settings that we talked about right here. And as soon as you edit these, forward it, you might forward the phone number to your cell phone or something like that. The phone system is active. It is live. You can start receiving phone calls. You've got reporting. You now get the voicemails on your phone. What you have to decide are a lot of the things that we talked about. Do you want to see the caller ID of the phone number that you have on the system? Do you want to see the personal caller ID? Do you want to turn on the call whisper feature and the call connect feature? Do you want to record your phone calls? How much do you want to do the timeouts? Do you want the voicemails to be left on your cell phone? Do you want them to be left on the LC phone system? These are some of the questions that you really have to answer first before you can get the phone system set up. But once you make that decision, the phones are set up and they just continue to work and work. Now, some of the other areas of how do you configure the phone numbers maybe for a particular person. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that whenever you get multiple, we're going to look at the staff. So let's just say I use the example that you have 6 people working as sales rep booking agents in Highlevel. Well, if they're all using a shared line, that could kind of suck, because if they're calling back on that shared line, where does the call get routed to? It would kind of make more sense that each salesperson would get their own phone number, so that if somebody wanted to call that salesperson back, they would call the main, that salesperson's phone number, and then that phone number would get routed directly to them as a user. Perfect. Makes absolute sense. So how do you set that up? How do you get that configured? So inside of your settings, you have a My Staff area. The My Staff area is where you configure all of your user accounts. When you set up a user, whether it be an administrator or a standard user, you come here and you set that person up. You put in their name, their phone number, their email address. You put all the information regarding them. So we'll take a look at some of the settings here. So each particular user has some kind of user permission. So if you only want them to have access to certain areas of Highlevel, you can turn these features on, or you can turn them off. Completely up to you. For the purposes of this video, we're going to be focusing on the call and voicemail settings. So here under call and voicemail settings, we can actually select the drop-down list and choose any phone number in the LC phone number that has not been already assigned to another user. If it has been assigned to another user, it will not show up in the list. So you're not going to potentially duplicate people's phone number or give the same phone number out to 2 people. So if I wanted to, I could select this phone number, the main phone line number, to be directly associated with this particular user. Now, I'm not going to do that here because we don't have multiple phone numbers. But if I did have a larger, grouping of numbers, if I had 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers, I might take one phone number and assign it to one person. That way, that salesperson knows what their phone number is. And then for their caller ID, for instance, when you get their caller ID verified and they call a particular person, then that particular person can leave a voicemail there, and when they hit reply to the voicemail, that phone number is going to come directly back into the LeadConnector phone system. The LeadConnector phone system will see that that phone number is assigned to a specific user, so it will actually route it to that particular user. So for instance, if they're logged in with the LC, our LeadConnector mobile app, then that phone number will come directly through the LeadConnector mobile app, and they can pick it up and answer it directly. Hopefully that makes sense. You can also upload individual MP3 and WAV files here for their voicemail recordings, so they can have their own voicemail settings. Hi, I'm sorry, you reached John. I'm not available to take your phone call. You kind of know what I'm talking about here. Just create a generic message. You do have to create a recording, and you do have to upload it. But once you upload it, that message gets put at the user level. So each user not only has their own phone number, they have their own voicemail recording boxes. They have access to their own phone numbers, their access to their own voicemails, as well as any text messages that number may get as well. Okay, we're not really talking about text messaging, but whenever you assign a user a phone number, that phone number can be used for texting, can be used for phone calls, either or. So that is another area that you have for configuring user accounts. Now, one more thing I want to kind of go over. So you see, setting up the phone system does require a little bit of thought and a little bit of work. Now, ultimately, if you have one number now, okay, like we have here, we have one phone number and it is a main business number. It's not assigned to an individual user. Where do you set the call recordings for the voicemail for those? Well, here's where you do that inside of the business profile. So inside of this business profile, we're going to scroll down, And here we're going to sit back and see there is a call and voicemail settings. We're going to see the of just some adjustments that we can do for timeouts here, but we can just simply upload a voice recording here, save it, and now any of the phone numbers here that in a sense are not assigned to somebody, okay, if they're not assigned, they will go into the generic business mailbox. So if they are assigned to a particular person, then they'll go into that particular user's mailbox, if that makes sense, for voicemail. So anyway, I hope this makes sense. I know setting up the phone system could be kind of challenging for people that have never dealt with phones before or how to configure phone numbers, but it is not as hard as you think. If you just kind of watch this video, slowly, or maybe even listen to it, 2 or 3 times to go through and get all the settings. Once these settings are set up, you're not going to configure that many phone numbers to it. And once you do, the system just works. So anyway, I hope you found the video useful. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe. There's a lot of great information if you're a marketing agency or a small business owner that you're interested in finding out how powerful Highlevel is to help you out with your business. The videos I have on my channel are just rich of information and can show you exactly how to get things set up. So again, thank you so much for visiting my channel. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Hey, I want to thank you again for visiting my channel and give you one more little thing here. If you are interested in Highlevel and getting some additional Highlevel training, please see the link in the description below. I do have a free course I'm offering that covers everything related to Highlevel and gives you all the information that you need to know. Thank you so much and have a great day.